Have you ever looked at the life that you've worked so hard to build and you realize that it just doesn't fit anymore? Not because you have a bad life, not because you failed, but because you've simply changed. Sometimes that's one of the hardest truths that we have to admit to ourselves. And I think that many of us experience these things and many of us are not talking about it. So, how do you know when your life is trying to tell you something? It all starts so much more quietly than we expect. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. By the way, my name is Rainey, and this is the Thriving with Rainey channel. So sometimes you just know that something is off inside. It may feel something like, wow, I really should feel happy, but something feels off. Or, you know, I really need a vacation. And when you come back from vacation, you still feel the same way. And you've gone on vacation over and over and over. Try to reclaim an old feeling that you once felt. You may find yourself consistently daydreaming about having a different life, or you might be doing things right now that just don't excite you and they used to excite you. You realize that you're no longer the person that your life is currently built for. And so sometimes life growth isn't about everything being rosy or having a big cataclysmic event happen. Sometimes it's just a little discomfort. It's a little inkling inside. It's your inner voice. It's your inner woman and inner man that's letting you know that you've changed. And so you're not crazy. You shouldn't feel guilty. Just begin to recognize the truth about who you're becoming based on your current season. Life is about seasonality. And let me tell you, I've learned this the hard way where I beat myself up for things that I thought I should be doing, or I didn't practice gratitude, or I stayed in the blame game or in the pity pit because I just thought my life should look different. And what I didn't realize was what I'm telling you was that my life has changed and it was waiting for me to catch up. As humans, we love staying in a place of comfort. Nothing's more comforting than comfort, right? But what happens sometimes is we stay in a place for many different reasons when we know that we should be moving on because our life has. We stay in a place because of loyalty. Maybe we stay in a certain space or place because we feel fear or anxiety of moving on. Maybe our identity is wrapped up in the things that we're doing, the people that we're associated with, or who we are at that moment. And one of the biggest ones, my friends, is that we may stay because we feel like we've invested so much time in that relationship, in that job, in that activity, in that task that we just don't want to let go. And the universe, God, we are being moved into our next season. We've grown, we have evolved. And so if you're feeling that way, it's probably because of one of those reasons. And so for me, just thinking about my last life lessons was that I stayed at a job that I knew I should have moved on from years ago. And it was primarily because of comfort. And so, has that ever happened to you where you stayed in a situation because of some of the reasons that I named, whether it was fear, anxiety, identity? Let me know in the comments field because you're not alone. And it's not because you're weak. It's because you're human. We love comfort, but that comfort is costing us something. That comfort is holding us back to our God-given next assignment, next evolution of who we're supposed to be. So many of you know my story about me moving from New York to Dallas. And let me tell you something, that was such a shift in embracing and really practicing all the things that I just shared with you. It was really difficult and still is difficult on many a day for me to just really just say, that was my old life. That was my old season. And it doesn't mean that I'll never move back to New York. It doesn't mean that there might not be, some relationships that are rekindled or some things that I used to do that I'll never do again. It just means right now, this is where I'm called. This is where I'm supposed to be. And so I want you, just like I have done, to give yourself permission. I want you to give yourself permission to change. I want you to give yourself permission to want something different. I want you to give yourself permission to disappoint people. I want you to give yourself permission to become someone new. Because if you don't give yourself permission, you'll stay stuck in a life that no longer serves you. You'll stay stuck in a life that you've already grown, and you won't be living to your full potential with passion and purpose. So, have you reached a point where your old life no longer fits? And what was a signal? Let me know in the comments field. What was the signal that you knew that your life has really moved on, but you just won't let go? For me, it was God really closing off my access to certain relationships, to certain people. And when I tell you, he did not only close the door, he sealed it shut, he cemented it over, he put bricks or mortar, everything you can imagine over it. And so at this specific time, those relationships are not available to me. And so sometimes what we think or what we label as rejection, if you're a Christian, and it's the same principle even if you don't believe in God, is really for your protection. It's protecting you from going back to a life that you no longer belong in, that no longer fits you, that no longer aligns with who you're meant to be. So let me know in the comments, Phil. I would love to know what was your signal. So I want to remind you that you're not behind. You're not broken. You're not damaged. There's nothing wrong with you. But sometimes life is about telling yourself the truth and then taking the next doable step to move forward into your next season. Because the reality is that you don't have to hate your old life to admit that you've outgrown it. Don't apologize for who you are becoming. Your old life, that season served a purpose, and now that season is over. So make that phone call, update your resume, go on that date. Hello, say yes to that opportunity. Pray. Let me know in the comments field. Don't forget to watch my prior video here. If you haven't, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. God bless.